Okay, so this is going to be phase 2 low back pain, a rehab oriented sequence to engage your trunk, and it's going to be a little bit tougher than the first sequence that we went through. So a lot of times the way that I have people organize this is that the phase 1 stuff you can do every day. This stuff is going to be a little bit more tiring, so every other day is what you're probably going to want to start off with doing this at most. We'll talk about some of these different movements and how some of them are harder than others. So the first thing we're going to look at is a plank position. So the plank position, the level of difficulty is going to be gauged on how high the surface is that I'm resting on. So if I start off even at this counter height, and I'm on my hands, or for the most part on my elbows, this is going to be a little bit easier than say something that's more table height, or something as I go as low as this chair. Okay? So this first exercise, I'm going to go to this table, and I'm going to rest on my elbows. Now if you don't have a nice padded table like this, you can put a pillow or a towel on a table. And you want to start off in this nice straight position where I'm up on my toes, and I very lightly engage my stomach like we talked about in previous videos with a little bit of light tension, but nothing where I'm really cinching down as hard as I can. You notice that my lower back stays flat. So as I'm in this position, I'm going to start off here by bringing one knee up to my chest and holding for 5 seconds. Have my chin tucked slightly down. I'm not hiking up my shoulders, I'm keeping my shoulder blades down. And then slowly I'm going to start to kick this leg back, stopping whenever I feel like my leg is straight, and I'm trying to go just short of my back, dipping down like this, and I'll hold this for 5 seconds. And then I'll come right back up, knee to chest, 5 seconds, kick this leg slowly back, just short of letting my back dip. So right about there is as far as I can go. And I'm squeezing my butt in this leg at the same time keeping tension in my stomach. Holding each position for 5 seconds, trying for somewhere in the initially 5, working up towards 15 to 20 on each leg. Once you get to 20, you may want to go towards a lower surface and start with a lower amount of reps. Okay, so that's the first exercise. Now next is going to be with this ball. So you can do this with your feet up on a ball, or with your feet up on the edge of your couch or chair, laying on the floor. Same beginning, just tension in the stomach, so very lightly pressing here. And then with my knees staying bent, I'm going to start to just lift up a little. Making sure that as I raise up, I'm not letting my back arch, but I keep a little bit of that tension in my stomach, along with tension in the back of my legs. Okay? Pause for 5 seconds and back down. Okay? And as this one feels okay, I can start doing the raise up just like I did, and then maybe coming back down just short of taking a break, and raising back up again. Same thing, somewhere in the 5 to 20. Once I'm working up towards 20 and it's feeling easy, maybe I stop taking the rest break in between. Okay? So that's the second maneuver. Third one is going to be based into that plank position. I like to do this one on a straight arm instead of on my elbows. So same thing, the height is going to vary the level of difficulty. So if I'm up at the counter, it's going to be easier. Table's more of a middle ground, and then the chair will be a harder position, or even going all the way to the floor. Another good place to do this would be at a flight of stairs. Obviously the higher step is easier, the lower you come down, the more difficult. So I'll start with a little space between my feet, and my arms out straight. And I'm going to start to just swivel my feet so that my heels come down to the ground, and I bring this arm up and out to the side, where I'll hold for 5 seconds, back down, feet swivel, 5 seconds. A harder version of this would be the chair. It would be the same thing. I start off in this nice straight plank position, and I let my feet swivel, coming out to the side, staying in a nice straight line. Swivel the other way, 5 seconds. Same thing, trying for somewhere in the 5 to 20 on each arm. All right, next we're going to go to a squat. So for this, I want to hold on to something, and it's not going to need to be a lot of pressure. So I want to have just enough that I can lean back slightly. This could be a door handle, a railing, or the edge of your kitchen sink. And I'm going to just let myself lean back onto my heels as I keep my back erect, and I slowly sit down onto my heels. Now I'll get to a point where I feel like if I go any further, I run out of motion in my hips, and my back may have to tuck like that. I want to stay just short of the position where my back can't stay as a nice flat line. So as I lean back, I sit down nice and slow, And right about there for me, I feel like if I went any further, I'd run out of motion in my hips. I'm gonna drive through my heels and squeeze my butt, okay? One more time, leaning back slightly, lowering down slow or onto my heels, driving back up and squeezing my butt. Okay, same thing 5 to 20 times. And then the last position is going to be another trunk stability oriented sequence where I'm going to start on my hands and knees, and with my toes curled, I want to apply that same tension in my stomach and start off by just letting my knees hover over the table. And I'll pause here for 5 seconds and come back down. You'll see that I take the points of my elbows and somewhat squeeze them into my sides so I'm not hiking my shoulder blades. And I'm just very lightly lifting my knees up off the table. This is a bear position, we call it. So once you're able to do that, same thing, 5 seconds, maybe 10 to 20 times, we'll start adding some motion to it. So once I get up here and I'm holding, the next step will be starting to do a little bit of a small crawl. So I bring my knee and I bring my hand, and knee, I bring my knee, I bring my hand, knee, okay? So that is a good sequence to start getting into some transitional movements, engaging trunk stability. That's it.